Well, welcome back, friends, to Build a Lot Acres. My name's Case, and in today's video, we're going to be discussing splitting your own firewood versus buying it. Which one might be right for you? Alright, so the premise of this Firewood series, as I've said in two previous videos, which we're going to link at the end of the video, the premise of this series is to educate you on different basic principles and guidelines for firewood. A lot of you already know this information and you've known it for a long time perhaps, but to other people they've never heard this information, and hopefully it gives them some good value and some good guidelines to burning firewood, because like I said previously in the two videos, I think wood burning is going to get more popular with the prices of other heating options. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about splitting your own firewood versus buying it from someone else. There's distinct advantages and disadvantages to both. So let's get into them. So let's start off with buying your firewood. The biggest advantage obviously is going to be the amount of work you have to do is very little compared to getting your own firewood. So if you're a person with a limited time, maybe you don't physically feel like doing it, you're not physically able, you don't have the flexibility to do it, those kind of people, it's a great option, because at the end of the day, it's still going to be cheaper than a lot of other heating options. It's still going to be more work, but not nearly as much work as cutting your own. So I'd say the biggest advantage to buying your wood is the amount of work you have to do is very low. Another big advantage is you don't need a lot of equipment. If you start cutting your own wood, you're going to need, at the bare minimum, a chainsaw, an axe, or a maul, preferably a truck or a trailer to haul your wood around. And it really can get to the point where you can spend a lot of money on firewood related items just to gather your own firewood. But that can actually be a positive, which we're going to get into later in the video. So I would say those are the two biggest advantages. You don't need a lot of equipment, and it doesn't take much effort or work to do. But there's also disadvantages. I would say the biggest disadvantages is it is going to be more expensive. You're going to spend, the prices are going to vary depending on where you live, but you could spend $200, $250, $300 a cord or more in a lot of areas. So it's definitely going to be more money than gathering or harvesting your own firewood. Another big disadvantage is you really don't know what you're getting. Not only does that include the species of the wood, but also how seasoned it is. So like I said in my previous video, most firewood sellers are selling you mixed hardwoods. It could be a number of different species. So you might get some good BTU wood and might get some lower grade BTU wood. It's just part of the game and part of the gamble you take when you buy wood from someone else. And also, like I said, the moisture content, there's a very, very good chance that your wood you're buying is going to be high moisture content. Most firewood sellers are doing it in bulk. They're just trying to get the wood pumped out as quick as they can, make money, make a profit. They're not stacking the wood in their property for years, letting it season to that below 20% moisture content, which is what you really need. So if you buy your wood, realize that you're probably going to have to buy it well ahead of time to get it to actually be truly seasoned. So I think the last disadvantage to buying your wood is you really don't have any control over how big the splits are, how long. Yeah, there's a industry standard of 16 inches, but the physical size of the splits can really vary, and the lengths can also vary depending on how uniform your guy is. If your firewood person has a processor, there's a much better chance that the pieces are the exact same lengths. They're more of a freehand firewood person. They're just cutting it with a saw and then running it through a regular splitter. You could get some variations of 1 inch, 2 inches, 3 inches in length. It's not uncommon with split wood. So now that we talked about some of the advantages and disadvantages of buying split wood, let's talk about some of the advantages and disadvantages of harvesting your own firewood, which is what I do. So I would say the biggest advantage to harvesting your own wood is you're in complete control. That's a number of different things. It's an umbrella. But some of the things that umbrella covers are going to be the type of wood you caught, which is really big. If you want really high grade, high BTU wood, honestly, your best option is to cut your own wood like I do and harvest it. As long as you have that species in your area, you can usually find some deadfall on the side of the road, or maybe if you have a lot of land, you can kind of pick and choose which trees you do. But you're not going to have that option buying wood from others. Typically, they're going to charge you a lot more money for high grade BTU wood, or they might not offer it at all. If at best, it might be mixed with other woods. So you have complete control over the type of wood, how seasoned it is, because you can stack your wood. This wood's been here over 2 years now, so you can stack your wood wherever you want on your property, and you can let it season for as long as you want. When you buy wood from someone else, there's no telling how long it's been seasoned. They could tell you A, B, or C, but words really don't always mean that much. Some people tell the truth, some don't. And at the end of the day, the only way to know for sure is if you cut it yourself and you know when it was cut, when it was split, when it was stacked, etc. I think the last thing under that umbrella is going to be, the sizes of the splits, which kind of goes against what I said for buying it from sellers. Whereas you really don't have any control over how big they split it or how long they cut it. You can cut it to the exact length you want and split it to the size you want. You might want bigger pieces for a big stove or overnight burns. You might want smaller pieces for smaller stoves. You might want 12-inch long pieces for a really small, potbelly stove. You might want 24-inch pieces for a bigger stove or a furnace or a boiler. You have complete control over that, and you really don't when you buy it from someone else. So I'd say that's the first biggest positive, is you have complete control over the whole process. The second biggest positive is got to be you get to buy toys. Now hear me out, gentlemen. Hear me out, fellas. Ladies, if you're listening, there's much worse things that your man could be doing than providing heat for his family and buying a few toys to gather firewood and doing all that manual labor just to keep everyone warm in the winter. I know it's money spent. He's not gambling, he's not fishing, he's not doing a hobby that's just benefiting himself. It's benefiting the whole family. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with hunting or fishing or any of that, but burning and gathering firewood is really helps the whole family out. It's not just a single person thing. You never notice how many planes go overhead until you film outside. You would think it's like once or twice a day, but I swear it's every 5 or 10 minutes there's a plane going overhead. So there's not much I can do about that. I'm running out of daylight here. Filming is getting tough with the days getting shorter. I can only film, after work or on the weekends. So I kind of gotta do what I gotta do. It's almost dark here. We do have planes overhead, but I'm gonna keep going with the video. So I would say, like I said, where was I even thinking now? I lost my train of thought. Thank you, plane. So I would say the biggest positives, like I said, are gonna be you have complete control over what you're doing in the operation. And another big positive, like I just mentioned, is you got the excuse, to buy toys, whether it be saws, tractors, trucks, trailers, skidding winches, grapples. There's a lot of things that you could justify, honestly, burning firewood that you probably really would have a hard time justifying if you didn't cut and harvest your own wood. I cut my firewood from standing trees, so I do need a lot of equipment to get the wood to split form in a woodshed like you see behind me. It's not an easy task, which is going to get us into our first negative, is it's a lot of work. Way, way, way more work than buying split wood from a seller. You think about it, the whole process. You got a standing tree, you got to cut it down, delimit, get all the branches off, you got to buck it up into firewood lengths, you got to run it through the splitter, you got to stack it somewhere. I mean, there's a lot of work to the process. I really enjoy it. I don't consider it even work hardly. I really find it fun, which I could consider a positive, but a lot of people probably wouldn't. But it is a lot of work, which has to be the biggest negative to cutting your own wood. Is it's a big undertaking for anybody. Another negative to cutting your own wood is the time. You need a lot of time to gather your wood. Whereas you can order wood, make one phone call, and have Joey Dumps a Lot bring it to your house. You really can't do that when you're cutting your own wood from trees. You're going to be able to set time aside to do these tasks. Because like I said, even if you're getting roadside scrounges or you're cutting deadfall, it still takes a lot of time. But if you're cutting standing trees, it takes a real lot of time. And you got to factor that that's going to take some of your weekends, maybe some of your holidays, perhaps nights, early mornings. You know, depending on your schedule, you're just going to have to plan out during the year that you're going to be cutting a lot of wood. Depending on how much wood you burn, it adds up. But it is doable. I don't want to scare anyone off. I have a full-time job an hour away from my house, and I still manage to burn 8 cords of wood a year. I get all that myself from standing trees. I also maintain my property. I do stuff for my family. I do YouTube. So you got to manage your time just like everyone else. A lot of people that say they have no time spend all their time sitting on the couch on their phone or watching TV. You just got to be willing to give up that time and do something productive like cutting wood. I really enjoy it. I think it's a great hobby, and I think it really saves you some money, keeps you in good shape, and there's a lot of benefits. Hope you guys are enjoying these Firewood Talk series that I'm doing. If you have any ideas for topics you would like to see covered in this series, let me know. But I'll see you guys next time.